Welcome back, BJ. We are fresh out of NFL draft season, taking a little break, but now we're here getting ready to talk way too early 2023 NFL award predictions. But first, how we doing?
I'm good, man. I'm excited. They don't know, but we've been trying to do this podcast for like 3 days because my internet doesn't work. So it finally works. So
yeah, you look great. You sound great.
Thanks. You're beautiful also.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to be here once again.
Well, let's do it, man.
All right, let's just dive right in. To make this easier, the goal of this, we're going to go through each award, bring 2 to 3 players that we like for each one. I say one of them is, overall favorite, and then the other 2 can be, one that you think has the best odds or one that you think is like a dark horse contender for that award. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Should be easy to follow. And let's start with the obvious one, MVP. BJ, I'll let you take this one first. Let me hear it. Who you got?
Yeah, man, it's really boring. I mean, Mahomes is the favorite, which he obviously could win again based on the way he plays. But I've got 2 guys. I think you're going to agree with me on one or maybe both. I don't know. I hope we don't have the same. My first one is newly paid Lamar Jackson playing for the Ravens. We got some new offensive weapons there. You know how versatile he is running the ball. And now they've got Todd Monken as their offensive coordinator.
Dude, I hate you. You stole my pick.
You let me go first.
We intentionally did not talk and did not plan before this show, so we didn't have overlapping picks. And, of course, the first one we have is the same exact guy.
You're going to have the other MVP is going to be the same also.
I love your takes. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, but no, the Ravens always have a good defense, and they've been pretty electric, but they've lacked that passing game. Like all they've had is Mark Andrews. Now they've got Odell, Mark Andrews, and they drafted Zay Flowers, who people are doing player comps to Tyreek Hill. And, I like that comp, and I think he could catch a lot of balls underneath. And
for sure.
Monken's done 2. Was Georgia undefeated 2 years in a row, or did they lose 1 game?
They were undefeated last year. I don't remember.
I don't know. But anyway, they just dominated college football. But he's their new OC, and I think he's going to have a field day, and Lamar is going to absolutely show out. So I'm going to let you – we definitely have the same one for the next one, so I'm going to let you go ahead. Lamar's at plus 1,500, by the way, for that.
I think he's great odds because I do think this is the best offense, the surrounding cast that Lamar Jackson has had in his NFL career. And let's not forget, he did win the MVP just a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So he's motivated because of everybody that I think, like, there was a stink around him with his contract business. And now that he's motivated and he has the weapons, it's a scary Ravens offense. And I'm excited because Todd Monken, that's the most underrated aspect of this. I don't think anybody realizes the knowledge that Todd Monken yields when it comes to just general football offense. It's amazing. And so he made Stetson Bennett. Like, Stetson Bennett would not be Stetson Bennett unless it was for Todd Monken. And so obviously Stetson had the weapons, the defense, whatever, but Todd Monken is amazing. I'm excited to see him have the weapons that he's had too, because let's be real, like, he was kind of limited with Stetson Bennett as a play caller. So now you give him Lamar Jackson and some weapons on the perimeter. Like, this is awesome. So Lamar Jackson was my number 1. I'm excited to hear your number 2. I'm going to go for it with the best odds. A non-quarterback, Justin Jefferson, 100 to 1.
Is it really?
He's 100 to 1. He loses Adam Thielen, so there's targets everywhere. And I know they just picked up Jordan Addison, but he's a rookie. So he's going to absorb some of Thielen's targets. They're not going to be playing ahead that much this year. And I think he can do what Cooper Kupp did just a few years ago and win the Triple Crown. If Justin Jefferson can do that, he wins the MVP. How can you not? For a receiver that breaks those records, how could you not? I have a third one that's a dark horse that I'll save for later.
You want me to go?
I want you to go. I want to hear the one that you're talking about.
Okay. Well, my second one, and it's all down to offensive coordinators here. But my second one is Justin Herbert with Kellen Moore being their offensive coordinator.
Yes. Yes. That's a
Like,
good one.
the Cowboys are going to suck. And no one seems to think that, but he ran their entire offense, and they're really limited on weapons now, and McCarthy's running their offense. I think they're going to be pretty bad. But Kellen Moore goes to this offense that's got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Josh Palmer just drafted, Quentin Johnson, and Herbert's plenty capable. He just hasn't been, and they have Austin Eckler at running back, but he's plenty capable, but just hasn't had the play calling to show out like that. So I think Kellen Moore is going to come out guns a-blazing, and I think the Chargers are going to be really good this year, but I really think that with Kellen Moore, he could have the opportunity to put up those stats to win MVP.
Yeah. You know me. I'm a Justin Herbert truther. I
You are.
almost picked him too. The only reason I didn't was because Lamar Jackson sitting at 15-1 was a lot more enticing just because of the weapons. He has won the MVP, and he obviously wields the power of his legs. So that's the reason I had him tabbed at 1. Obviously, that's the reason you had him tabbed at 1.
Right.
I did like Justin Jefferson's odds at 100-1 as a long shot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But, my third one, now this is silly. This is strange. Don't hate on it.
I'm not going to.
Daniel Jones is 50-1 to win the MVP.
It's fair.
I know I'm not saying that it's like, probabilistically speaking, it's not that likely, but situationally speaking, the Giants have done a good job of putting weapons around him. They're not great. They're not like superstars, but he has plenty of weapons now with Wan'Dale Robinson and Jalen Hyatt, Isaiah Hodges, Darius Slayton, Saquon Barkley. And so I think with these additions, he'll be a respectable quarterback, and he uses his legs. And so let's not forget that Dayball did turn Josh Allen into Josh Allen. And a lot of, Daniel Jones isn't the exact same type of quarterback as Josh Allen, but he's very similar. And so I think that it's not a stretch to say that Daniel Jones could really light up the scoreboard this year. I'm just saying. That's a dark horse contender for me at 50-1.
I agree with what you're saying, but I think in order for someone to win the MVP, their team has to be good. So I think a couple things have to happen. Like, I agree he can put up those numbers, but I think they'll have to win at least 12 games for that to happen, which is not too far-fetched. But, I mean, would they win 9 last year?
Yeah, I mean, they made the playoffs at 9 or 10. The new schedule is weird because, like, the win count, I'm always used to saying, like, 9 or 10 wins is, a good season, but now 9 or 10 is actually 10 or 11. So it's just strange. But it's I'm excited about it. I'm excited about Daniel Jones. I think that offense is immediately going to be a top third offense in the league.
I can see that. He's going to have to do some damage on the ground, too, if he wants to win MVP.
Yeah. And I think he will.
7 or 8 touchdowns rushing. He can.
I think he will.
He'll be schemed that way.
Yeah. I mean, and they showed a commitment to him. You don't give him, like, I don't understand it. I don't understand why they would give him, elite status quarterback money, but clearly the Giants front office and clearly Dayball sees something in him that we don't, or maybe we haven't seen yet. So it's not far-fetched, and 50-1 puts him behind, or right with Kirk Cousins, behind Matthew Stafford, behind Derek Carr, behind Kenny Pickett. So that's where the value comes into play, because I don't think Kenny Pickett and I don't think Derek Carr is more likely to win over Daniel Jones.
No.
So it's a fun bet, and so that's why I picked him as my third dark horse, just throwing him out there. Good times, man. All right. That was fun. I love the Lamar at 1, dude. Yeah. Great minds think alike.
It's true.
All right, let's take a step. Jump over to Offensive Player of the Year. I know we mentioned it earlier, but Justin Jefferson leads the race for this one. So it's kind of hard because he's like, he does not have the best odds. He is, has the lowest odds of any of them. He's such a polarizing pick, though. So I have to put him on my list because if I think he's worthy of winning an MVP, I have to think that he's worthy of winning an Offensive Player of the Year due to the reasons that I mentioned earlier. But I do have a few long shot odds and dark horses as well. But I'm going to pass it over to you, and I want to hear your picks.
Well, I'm going all long shots here because honestly, like, it's really up in the air because there's a lot of players that have the potential of doing it. The only reason I don't think Justin Jefferson will win is because he won it last year, which, like, people have repeated before, but
Right.
that's the only reason that I think that. But I've got two based on staying healthy the whole year. But
Okay.
we'll go one for one. So my first one at plus 4,500 is Nicholas Chubb in a
Nice.
backfield where it's only him and like Isaiah Ford and John Kelly or something like that. And Deshaun hasn't shown the ability to be Deshaun the way he was. And they still have Stefanski, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So in his scheme, they're really gonna try to use Chubb because he's their best player. So I think, I mean, if he stays healthy the whole year without Kareem Hunt there, he could get easily
Yeah. I like that.
1,200 yards, 12
That's
touchdowns.
that's a fun one. Thinking about it, he finally gets the backfield to himself. He gets inserted into an offense with Deshaun Watson, who obviously adds another weapon with his legs. So that could be fun. I
Could
like
be.
it. You got another one? Let me hear it.
No, I want you to go.
Okay.
I don't think it's the one I have, so you go.
I got one 50-1. Another running back. He gets the backfield to himself. Tony Pollard. I think he has a great chance to be an elite weapon on this Cowboys offense. Who, they don't have many weapons. They have CD, and then they have like Noah Brown and Michael Gallup, but that's about it. So like Zeke's gone, and now it's Tony Pollard and Tony Pollard only. And so I think he's going to absorb all of the receiving targets and all of the running back touches, and he'll be spelled. I think the Cowboys drafted somebody in the draft, but
Yeah, they did. Deuce Vaughn, my
it
friend.
was fun. Yeah, round 6. I saw that video. It was a fun. It was a cool moment between him and his dad. That's right.
Yeah, his dad's on the staff.
So, but I mean, Deuce Vaughn is not a first and second down back. He's not a grinder. He's obviously a third down back. So he'll spell him in terms of like the passing game. But Tony Pollard getting the backfield to himself, like we saw what Zeke did when he had the backfield to himself a couple years ago. Tony Pollard at 50-1. I mean, I love that. As long as he can stay healthy, that's a feasible pick. So
the only reason I disagree with it was my take on how I think the Cowboys are going to be bad. It's the only reason.
Yeah,
because I agree. Like, he's great. So, and he got the backfield to himself.
That is true. I mean, I think the reason the Cowboys will be fine. Now, I do disagree with what they did in firing Kellen Moore. I think Mike McCarthy calling the plays is a huge mistake.
It's bad.
But that's something we'll talk about on another show. But I think their defense will be able to pick up some of the slack. They'll be fine. They'll be respectable. And they'll keep them, in these close games. But they are no longer one of the leading teams in the NFC. Not even in their division, in the NFC East. I mean, the Giants probably supersede them now. Eagles obviously do. So they're now taking a back seat. But we'll see. It'll be fun, but we'll save that for another show. Let me hear you got.
I love this one because I think he's so raw. Kenneth Walker at 75-1.
Okay. I love
Based
that.
on, dude, he's so good. He got hurt. But was it season ending? I don't remember.
No, it wasn't season ending. It was like an ongoing ankle issue that just kept nagging him, I think.
Well, if he's healthy, he is so raw. And another reason that I like that pick is because Pete Carroll always wants to establish the run, but they legitimately have a good receiving core and a good quarterback in Geno Smith to open up everything that they won't just be stacking the box the whole time because they drafted Smith and Jigba. So I love that one. Like he has the backfield to himself once again. So I like that one. That's pretty dark horse, but
okay. I respect it. Seahawks running back. History says they've always been pretty good.
Mhm.
My dark horse pick at 130-1, a tight end, Mr. Mark
No.
Andrews.
No.
Yes. This is a parallel and kind of coincides with my Lamar Jackson MVP pick. I think that Mark Andrews and Todd Monken's offense. So to put it in perspective, Todd Monken's offense last year was what led Brock Bowers to be the elite tight end that he is in
He's
Georgia.
so good.
I mean, obviously Brock Bowers is an animal. He's like by far the most athletic tight end in college football, and he's the most talented tight end in college football.
Mhm.
But we got to give credit to Todd Monken for scheming that up too. And I think that he's going to use Mark Andrews very similar to the way he used
Mhm.
Brock Bowers in college. I think he's going to be throwing and checking it down and letting Mark Andrews route run, get in open in space, mismatch against the linebackers. And, he obviously Lamar Jackson loves Mark Andrews, but now that the pressure is alleviated from him due to Odell, Zay Flowers, and others, I think that Mark Andrews is going to get a chance to shine. And I love his odds at 130-1. I
That's
love it.
ridiculous. 120 catches, 12 touchdowns inbound.
Yeah, I mean, 130-1 puts him in the same like pool as Ezekiel Elliott, Miles Sanders, Robert Woods, Lenny Fournette,
They aren't
Adam
even on teams.
Thielen. Exactly. So like when you talk about value, this is a guy who could easily clear his value. So that's a dark horse pick for me. Again, probabilistically speaking, it's not that likely that a tight end wins it. But if a tight end is going to do it, it's going to be Mark Andrews this year. Obviously, barring health.
Yeah, he's white. What?
All right, let's move on. Let's pause. Defensive Player of the Year. Now, this one, when I started going through it, this one took me a minute. There were some interesting ones. I don't even know, what some of these guys' names are, but I did have a few picks that I really liked.
Well, this is where I'm going to get boring because I don't do defense. It's not me.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I will say is I don't know the history of the defensive player of the year, like position wise, but it's got to be somebody who's racking up a lot of, like, I don't think a defensive back will win unless they were to have like
Right.
15 interceptions.
Right. It's always like a defensive lineman or a linebacker.
Yeah, it's like an edge guy. But I mean, it's the favorite. It's Michael Parsons at 750 is one I plus 750 is what I wrote down. But the fact that it goes back to me thinking the Cowboys are going to be bad, and that he's going to be on the field a lot and can absorb a whole lot of tackles. Plus, he's a great young player. So that's what I had for mine. But I'm going to be real boring in this category here.
The favorite is the favorite for a reason. So
right.
That's, when it all comes back down to it, that's just how it is. But I had a few that I wrote down. So one of my favorite ones is Aiden Hutchinson, 30-1. A second-year breakout guy who dominated in his first year. I mean, he had a great year as a rookie, so I like it at 30-1. A second guy who is also in his second year this year. I think he has the best odds and the best value at where he's at. Kayvon Thibodeau. He's 65-1 to win Defensive Player of the Year. And he had kind of had a coming out party at the end of the season last season. He's going to dominate. And so if the Giants can produce on offense and, alleviate some pressure from this defense and open up some opportunity to let Kayvon run loose, then I think Kayvon can easily break 15 sacks this season. And he's well worth the odds for Defensive Player of the Year. So that's my favorite one overall. And then I had a dark horse one. He actually doesn't have as good odds as Kayvon Thibodeau, but Joey Bosa at 45-1. He's back as like the Chargers' sole pass rusher. I think Khalil Mack is, done.
Old.
And so Joey Bosa at 45-1. I mean, if he can stay healthy, that's the key. So if you're willing to take the chance that he can stay healthy, in the year and a half that we saw him fully healthy, he was the most dominant pass rusher on the field by far. Mm-hmm. So I really like him at 45-1 because, again, I think that in order to be a defensive player of the year, you also have to be on a team that has a really, really good offense. That's just how it works. Unfortunately, defensive player of the year is never awarded to a guy who's on a subpar team with a bad offense. So that's just kind of my mindset when I approach these things. And I'm similar. I've had the most hits with these awards on offensive guys. I think I've only hit one defensive guy, and that was like the easy one in Aaron Donald a couple years ago. But, it's kind of a shot in the dark, and you have to think logically about this. And so that was as logical as I could get with those.
I like it.
Yeah. You got any more? You cashed out? Yeah.
I mean, yeah. No.
Well, this is the segment I look forward to the most. The offensive rookie of the year. Brendan already knows what I'm going to say here.
Do not say Anthony
Richardson. I'm going to let him go first. I'm going to let him go first.
Do not say Anthony Richardson.
I'm going to let you go first.
Well, I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, okay, that's so kind of you. You already know what I'm going to say, so you just have to get it out of your system, don't you?
Yeah.
My favorite pick is Anthony Richardson, 6.5-1.
Why?
I love it. I love him. I think he's in a great situation. Shane Steichen is going to do to him what he did to Jalen Hurts. He's got great underrated weapons around him. He's got a solid offensive line and a good defense. And I think they're going to run the hell out of him the first year. I think it's a resounding yes for Anthony Richardson, even though he's only he's the third highest favorite, but I still love him at 6.5-1. I think he's going to be a dog, an absolute dog.
I just don't know why you think that. When has he ever been like that? When?
Dude, what do you mean when? He is a freak athlete. He has the abilities. He has all of them. He has all the tangibles that you could want. He's, contrary to popular belief, a very smart quarterback. And I think he was in a bad situation at Florida. If you turn on the game film, his offensive line was shit. His receivers couldn't catch a thing. Not a single. I mean, it was crazy how bricked their hands were. It was insane. But you put Anthony Richardson in this environment with an elite running game already, some good wide receivers. Alec Pierce had a good year last year. I think he's on the come up.
He did. He's good.
He is good. And then on the other side, you have a near elite weapon in Michael Pittman.
Mm-hmm.
He's a dog. And then the offensive line that the Colts have been notoriously known for. And then on top of that, Shane Steichen is the head coach, the guy that helped make Jalen Hurts into who Jalen Hurts is. I'm not saying that Anthony Richardson is the next Jalen Hurts, but the guy that helped to develop Jalen Hurts is now developing Anthony Richardson. There's no way you can ignore that, especially when he's in the environment that he's in. I love it. Anthony Richardson 6.5-1 for offensive rookie of the year is a steal in my opinion.
I have a logical question. So let's just say they give him the opportunity to run basically on every play, and they're doing like a read option. Why would he not hand the ball to Jonathan Taylor?
Why would he not?
Yeah.
I mean,
because he's awesome.
So here's the thing. It's like, that is the thing. And so let's walk over to the Eagles. Why would he not hand the ball off to Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell? I get they're not the talent that Jonathan Taylor is, but when you read a defense, let's say the end is crashing. The entire box is crashing in, trying to stop the run. Jalen Hurts pulls it, walks in for a touchdown. Easy. Or you do the same thing that the Eagles did all year at the goal line with the push play with Anthony Richardson, who's even bigger and stronger.
That would be pretty dirty if they did that. That
It's
would be really dirty.
unstoppable. Come
Yeah, it's an
on. I
unstoppable
mean,
play. He doesn't have it here like Jalen does for that. I mean, not that I've
I
seen.
don't know.
Not that I've seen.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I can't sit here and argue about the intellect and if he's got that dog in him, but I I just everything else like checks the box. Everything else, and I know that fantasy football does not necessarily coincide with this award. There's some correlation to it, but in terms of fantasy football, I would be shocked if Anthony Richardson does not finish top 15 as a fantasy football quarterback this year. Shocked. The Colts have to win. They want to win. Shane Steichen wants to win in his first year. And I think that he's going to run and absolutely wear Anthony Richardson's legs out. You got a phone call you need to take?
I'll take it in a second, but I can't hang up.
Okay. I mean, I can pause it.
No, you're good. We can just cut that part out.
All right. Now we got that out of our system. Let me hear your first pick.
Honestly, expected to be more angry about that. I mean, I'm not saying that he can't be. I'm just saying I don't think he's going to be. And if he is, then he is, and I'm not going to argue with that. But
okay,
that's awesome.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
I'm looking for rookies here in really good spots for their position, and I just really think, based off talent and situation and the way they're going to play football, that he's the favorite. But Bijan Robinson is in an excellent spot to take this award and rack up 1,000 yards and score 9-10 touchdowns, just based on the pure volume that the Falcons run the ball. And so they drafted Tyler Algier last year, who was a good running back, and they had Cordero Patterson. But I wouldn't be too surprised if they move Cordero like to the slot or out wide or whatever, because now they have two actual like downhill running backs in the backfield.
Right.
And they led the league in rushing yards as a team and attempts, I think. So, and I mean, same coaching staff, same everything, and they drafted him at, what was it, 8? What did they draft him at? Yeah, for a reason. So
8 overall.
And I mean, I didn't like the pick. I mean, he's the best running back in the draft, but you can't draft him 8th. But I really think it's his to lose based off of opportunity and skill set that he has. As far as like a dark horse,
it's hard. The defensive
really
offensive
hard.
rookie of the year is tough, and defensive rookie of the year was even harder coming through.
Yeah.
But
Um,
I got a fun one for you next, and you're gonna like this. The guy that you were so high on in the draft, Dalton Kincaid, 35-1 rookie of the year.
Yeah,
listen to my logic here.
So probably good.
I believe that the Bills are not going to use Dalton as a tight end. I think they're going to split him out wide as a slot receiver and just let him run free underneath. I think they're going to wear him out. They're going to let Dawson Knox keep his tight end role because I mean Kincaid is not necessarily a blocking.
He's not a tight end. He's a big receiver.
But I mean, what's the difference in Gabe Davis, who is 6'4", 220, than Dalton Kincaid, who's like 6'5", 240, who can really move in the exact same way? In my opinion, it's Dalton Kincaid over Gabe Davis at this point. Yeah. And so you have a guy like that who's in the slot running underneath. That's a mismatch against linebackers. I love that. So Dalton Kincaid, 35-1 for Offensive Rookie of the Year, I think is a really good value spot for him, especially at the Bills.
It's a great idea. And I loved his spot there because like I was so high on him coming out as the best tight end, but that's really a kind of a need because besides Diggs, they don't really have a weapon receiving the ball. And I mean, Gabe Davis will have one game where he'll have like 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. But other than that, he's pretty pedestrian the rest of the way. But yeah, I mean, if they can have him line up like that, I think it could be really dangerous. And it could be like, I mean, you can put him and Knox on the field at the same time. Knox can be in line, and Knox can still go out for a route.
No, for sure.
And I honestly feel like that's better because Dawson Knox is a pretty dang good tight end. And then you've got Diggs, Knox, and Kincaid out there.
Dude, think about the empty set with that crew. That's
That'd be so
filthy.
cool.
That is filthy. I love that.
Really the only other one that I can see coming in and win this thing is if Zay Flowers is as good as he was projected, and they use him in Tom Monken's offense, and he becomes Lamar's favorite target besides Andrews. Like that, I mean, if they run that offense to like the ceiling of what it can be, they could be fireworks. Because you're always you have to keep the box at least half full because you have to be aware of Lamar with his legs. And Flowers is super quick and really explosive, and he's been shown to make plays down the field. So he's what is that, 18-1?
Yeah, 18-1. That's pretty good. I mean, that puts him behind like Jahmyr Gibbs, Jordan Addison, JSN, right ahead of Quentin Johnson and Zach Charbonnet. So that's a good spot. Like pretty good value for a guy who's on a offense with a couple of MVP candidates. Okay. So yeah, that's a good one. I like that. The my dark horse at really long odds, Zach Evans, running back for the Rams. I put this because so Cam Akers right now is forecasted to be RB1 for the Rams, and I think he definitely will be starting out at least. But for those who also watch college football, especially the SEC, know how dominant Zach Evans was at Ole Miss and how well he ran the ball. And I think that Sean McVay went and got him for a reason. Obviously, we saw the dispute between Cam Akers and the Rams last year. I think it's a broken marriage between them two. And I think this lines up Zach Evans to come in and steal it, you know. And I think that Zach Evans at 100-1 is really good value. And I know the Rams are not a sexy team right now, and their offensive line is pretty bad.
It's really bad.
But one thing we know for sure about Sean McVay is dude loves to run the football. So I really like this because Zach Evans is a really talented dude who deserves to be on the field. And so with that being said, I think 100-1 odds is, you know, it's pretty resounding. And so I would definitely be sprinkling a little bit on there.
The future of the Rams, Stetson Bennett at the helm with Zach Evans at running back. Sean McVay gets to the Super Bowl in 4 years.
No way. If Stetson Bennett rides on the coattails of another great offensive mind, I will lose my shit.
You know he will. Stafford's like 100 years old. You know he will. Like that's like the perfect little project for Sean McVay. Because he made Jared Goff good. Jared Goff's terrible.
Yeah. Sean McVay was getting bored, so he needed a project.
I know. I have a really dark horse now, but I forgot about this. Jonathan Mingo.
I like it. I loved seeing him on the board at where he was too. I think he was like Mingo, 65-1.
65-1 with oh my God. Bryce Young as his quarterback. Why am I blanking on the coach's name?
Frank Reich,
gosh. And they have nothing. The team is terrible. They whatever's left of DJ Chark and whatever's left of Adam Thielen, that's the rest of their receiving core. And they're really going to struggle, and they're really going to be down a lot this year. And if Young like puts up a pretty good season, I mean, the only player he'll be able to go to is Mingo, basically. So I really like that. He's a big guy. He's just like DK Metcalf and AJ Brown coming out of Ole Miss. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy how they do that. But he's a really, really athletic receiver. And at really long odds, I like that one compared to where he's around, the players he's around.
I like that too. And I think that offense is going to be sneaky underrated because they also have Josh McCown on staff as the quarterback's coach. Mm-hmm. And so I think that team is going to be really, really well oiled on the offensive side of the ball because, I mean, they may not have the talent right now, but dang, do they have the minds. It's crazy.
Yeah,
so
they do.
I'm excited. I love that pick. 65-1. That puts them right behind like Marvin Mims, Darnell Washington, Jane Reed. That's good value for a guy who could be the wide receiver one on his team.
Easily. Mm-hmm. I can't believe he's behind Darnell on that. That's crazy.
I know, right? That's wild. But hey, that's what we do. We find good odds. Let's talk about the last one. This one was tough. Defensive player of the year. I'll start, but I did this before the news broke out about Jalen Carter, so to be determined. I really liked it at 7-1. I know he was one of the favorites, but it had to be him because I know he's going to be an instant starter. Um, but when with that being said, that's a pending. Don't don't buy into that because he's got some legal issues going on right now. We don't want to throw money away like that. But my second one, actually, I'll let you take the reign first.
Hey,
Who do you
don't
got?
do that. First of all, I think the Jalen Carter one's a pretty bad pick because the Eagles' defense is stacked.
Okay.
Care to comment on that statement? Like, I just don't know how he's going to have an immediate impact.
I mean, I think on a team that plays a relatively soft schedule that will be leading a lot of the times, they're going to be able to put in a pass rusher like Jalen Carter and kind of let him loose. So, again, it's kind of like opportunity and the value of those opportunities when he's on the field. I think that, Jalen Carter, easily takes that. He's instantly put in a good situation. Unlike, Will Anderson was, I think he's the favorite right now at 3-1, but on a Texans team who I don't think will be as bad as everybody thinks.
No.
We're going to talk about that later, but I still don't think he'll be able to, have the valuable opportunities that Jalen Carter will. Now he'll be on the field more, that's for sure. But again, he's on a team with a struggling offense who might be playing from behind quite a bit. So that's really the reason I went with Jalen Carter. Mm-hmm. But again, pending, he's got some stuff going on that came out yesterday. So
yeah,
we'll save that. We'll pocket that and put it away.
Well, once again, like the offensive rookie of the year, I think that it's Will Anderson's to lose, in my opinion, because he's an instant starter and he's really good in the one-on-ones. And honestly, being a defensive lineman, like an edge rusher, that's what it kind of comes down to, unless you're getting double teamed.
Right.
And we said earlier that it comes down to stats for who wins this, and he was the best defensive player coming out of this draft, no doubt. And I just don't know anyone that's was put in a better position to get better stats than he has this year, because I just think he's a really great player. And I think the Texans, the fact that they traded up again and got their quarterback and Will Anderson, was the smartest thing ever.
We'll see. I don't know. We'll talk about that again later, but it was interesting because I feel like it was a disagreement between the coaching staff and the front office, and they kind of just said, "Screw it, we'll please everybody and trade up and get them both." So
yeah,
it's a win-win for them, but we'll see. It could be worth it, to be determined. My long odds dark horse pick, BJ Ojulari, and this kind of goes against what I said earlier with Jalen Carter because he's on the Cardinals, and the Cardinals are in shambles right now. They're definitely rebuilding, but I think at 30-1, this was a good value spot because BJ Ojulari was so dominant at LSU, so dominant, and I think he'll instantly be inserted in this defense and make an impact. Now, unfortunately, they're losing Budda Baker. They still have Isaiah Simmons. So the defense will have some pieces, but it's still not good. But again, he'll get instantly inserted in this defense and have a chance to make a positive effect for the Cardinals. Now they will be playing from behind all the time, and he will struggle. The Cardinals will struggle, but at 30-1, I couldn't say no to BJ Ojulari because I know how dominant he was at LSU. And really, if he stayed healthy, he would have easily been a top 15 first-round overall pick. My last one, going to keep it simple. I put Joey Porter Jr. simply because of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that, as a cornerback that's desperately needed on the Steelers team, who I think the Steelers are going to be surprisingly relevant. Don't you think? As a Steelers fan, random
Yeah, we
question.
finally got some offensive linemen. So
Do you
yes,
think they'll break 500 this year?
yeah,
Okay, that's all I needed. Now Joey Porter Jr.
barely.
he's 20-1, which is puts him right around Will McDonald, Miles Murphy, and Deontay Banks. But again, a corner on this Steelers team, I feel like they always end up turning out well. Cam Hutton, Joe Hayden. We've seen successful corners on this
Yeah.
Steelers defense before, and he'll be instantly inserted in this defense as well. And he was forecasted as a first round pick. He just kind of fell, but again, that's kind of like a dark horse, a long odds pick that I really like as defensive rookie of the year, but not much to say about that. What about you? You got any to finish this off?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, defensive rookie of the year was a little bit tougher to come
Difficult.
through and find some value, but hey, man, it's part of the grind.
Mm-hmm. What we got next?
That wraps it up, man. We're done.
No coaches, no comeback player of the year.
You want to do that? I didn't do my homework on coaches of the year.
I'll just give.
Let me hear it. Who do you got? We'll talk about it.
I'll get two that coincide so we can kind of mix them together. But
Okay.
and this is a big if. But if Sean Payton's the coach of the Broncos now, and if he can run, I mean, I have Nathaniel Hackett was the worst coach ever created, coming in there and doing what he did. And if he can run an offense that is tailored to Russ and their weapons, and they get 10 wins, I think Sean Payton can win that, as well as if they're going to do that, Russ is going to have to show out the way he used to. And at 25-1, I like Russ Wilson, comeback player of the year, except it's definitely going to be DeMar Hamlin.
I know. I was just about to say, if DeMar Hamlin steps a foot on that field, even if it's for one play,
that's it. Yeah. So it's pretty dumb, but I read the script. It's DeMar Hamlin.
That's crazy. That is crazy. But so that was kind of also why I combed over comeback player of the year. I was like, well,
yeah, it's pretty dumb.
Mean, if DeMar Hamlin plays one snap this year, he's already won. He's already won.
But I do think coach of the year really comes down to the top three with Dan Campbell. If the Lions can win 11 games, I think Dan Campbell will win. Sean Payton can produce a decent offense. I think he could win. And then Robert Saleh at the Jets, who the Jets I think are going to be kind of nasty this year.
Yeah, I think he's like top 4 in the odds at 12-1. I mean,
he's number 3, or he's tied for 3rd, yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. Who Dayball won it last year, Vrabel the year before, Stefanski in 2020, and Harbaugh with the Ravens. So the comeback player of the year, the coach of the year is it's an interesting one because it never necessarily obviously, thankfully, it never goes to just the best team, but obviously you have to have a good bit of success to win this award. So
yeah.
And I think Frank Reich is in a great position at 18-1. Yeah. I think he's in a tough position with the weapons that he has on offense and defense. That is a fun one. I think Doug Peterson at 22-1 and a chance to take this Jaguars into the playoffs, like a deep run into the playoffs. I think they're set up well for success. So, and the Doug Peterson story is really cool, coming from the Eagles over here to the Jags and turning the shit franchise of the Jaguars into something respectable. So I think he's got good ones at 22-1. But man, I'm so excited for this NFL year. It cannot come soon enough. It cannot come soon enough.
Couple months.
Yeah. Well, that wraps it up for the show, man. We have college football coming next week, so that'll keep us busy as well. We're going to be talking about way too early conference champions and predictions. So make sure to tune in for that. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We appreciate that. But we will be back here soon. Appreciate you guys listening.